They say intelligence is the greatest gift a human can have. But what if I told you it could also be your greatest weakness? We often assume that the smarter someone is, the better their decisions will be. But history tells a very different story. Brilliant scientists, powerful leaders, even world-class CEOs, many of them ended up making choices that destroyed everything they built. How can someone with a genius-level IQ fall into traps that even an average person might avoid? What if intelligence doesn't guarantee wisdom, but actually blinds us to our own mistakes? You see, the mind has a strange paradox. The brighter it shines, the deeper the shadows it casts. And that's exactly what this book, The Intelligence Trap, reveals. Why being smart doesn't always mean being right. So today, let's uncover the dark side of intelligence and see how it secretly sabotages the very people who trust it the most. The Intelligence Trap is written by David Robson, a science journalist who spent years studying psychology of smart people and the mistakes they often make. At first glance, the title sounds strange. A trap for intelligent people? How could intelligence, something we admire so much, ever be a weakness? But Robson's research shows us that intelligence is not the same as wisdom. Intelligence is about solving problems, analyzing data, and learning quickly. Wisdom, on the other hand, is about making sound judgments, staying humble, and seeing the bigger picture. And here's the shocking truth. Many highly intelligent people lack wisdom. This book argues that intelligence can actually make people more vulnerable to poor decisions. Why? Because smart people are often overconfident, more skilled at rationalizing their mistakes, and more likely to fall into cognitive biases. Instead of protecting them from errors, their brilliance sometimes leads them directly into them. Think about it. When an intelligent person believes in an idea, they can use their sharp mind to find endless arguments to defend it, even if it's wrong. Their brain doesn't just make mistakes, it justifies them. That's the essence of the Intelligence Trap. And this is why the Intelligence Trap is such a powerful book. It's not just about pointing out flaws in geniuses, but about teaching us how to recognize those same flaws in ourselves. Because whether you're a student, a professional, or even someone running a business, you might already be falling into these traps without realizing it. The big question is how we break free. How can we make sure our intelligence becomes an asset, not a liability? That's where Robson's insights in modern psychology step in to guide us toward better thinking and wiser choices. One of the central ideas of the Intelligence Trap is that being smart doesn't protect you from bias. In fact, it can make your biases stronger. Psychologists call this motivated reasoning. When you're clever, you're better at finding excuses to defend your beliefs, even if they're wrong. Intelligence becomes a tool, not for truth, but for self-justification. Take overconfidence, for example. Studies show that intelligent people often overestimate their abilities. They believe they're less likely to be wrong, less likely to make mistakes, and more likely to see things clearly. But this confidence can be dangerous. It blinds them to risks that others might carefully avoid. Another trap is something Robson describes as the failure of cognitive reflection. This is the ability to pause and question your first instinct. Surprisingly, highly intelligent people sometimes skip this step because they trust their instincts too much. Instead of slowing down and reflecting, they rush ahead and walk straight into mistakes. The book also explores how intelligence can create blind spots in emotional understanding. A person may be brilliant at solving mathematical problems, but completely fail to recognize manipulation in a relationship. Or a genius scientist may understand the universe, but struggle with empathy and self-awareness. Without emotional intelligence, raw intellect often leads to isolation and poor choices. Then there's the issue of specialization. Many smart individuals master one field, but assume their expertise makes them experts in everything. This is known as the halo effect. A Nobel Prize-winning physicist might think his opinions on politics are automatically valid, and millions of people believe him because of his status. Yet outside his domain, he might be just as prone to error as anyone else. The Intelligence Trap also shows up in leadership. Smart people often rise to positions of power, but when surrounded by yes men, they become victims of their own confidence. They stop listening, stop questioning, and stop doubting themselves. History is filled with leaders who were brilliant strategists, yet their refusal to accept criticism led to catastrophic decisions. Robson's key message is clear. Intelligence is only half the story. Without humility, reflection, and emotional balance, even the sharpest mind can fall victim to illusions. The trap is not just that intelligent people make mistakes. It's that they often can't see them and sometimes refuse to admit them even when proven wrong. This is where psychology helps us see the danger. Our brains are wired with shortcuts, known as heuristics, which save time but also create errors. An intelligent brain doesn't eliminate these shortcuts. It simply builds more complex justifications for them. That's why smart people don't just fall into ordinary traps. They fall deeper and harder. So the lesson is clear. Intelligence without wisdom is like a powerful car without brakes. It can take you far, but it can also crash in spectacular ways. Consider Albert Einstein, the man who unlocked the secrets of space and time. His brilliance is unquestioned, yet in his later years, he stubbornly rejected some of the new discoveries in quantum physics. Younger scientists, once inspired by him, move ahead while Einstein held on to his old beliefs. His intelligence, instead of guiding him forward, trapped him in his own certainty. Or think about the 2008 financial crisis. Many of the world's top bankers and economists were graduates of the most prestigious universities, armed with PhDs and powerful models. On paper, they were the smartest of the smart. Yet their blind faith in complex systems and their overconfidence in predictions led to one of the worst economic collapses in modern history. Their intelligence gave them the illusion of control until reality shattered it. Then there's the story of Nokia, once the king of mobile phones. The executives running the company weren't fools. They were highly intelligent leaders. But when the smartphone revolution began, they dismissed it as a passing trend. Their belief in their own market dominance blinded them to change. The result? Within just a few years, their empire crumbled, replaced by Apple and Samsung. Even in politics, we see the intelligence trap at work. Leaders surrounded by experts often ignore advice and trust their own instincts, convinced of their superiority. History is filled with wars started not because leaders lacked knowledge, but because they refused to question their own judgment. Their intelligence, instead of saving lives, ended up costing millions. And it's not just famous names. Everyday life is full of people who fall into the same trap. A brilliant doctor who refuses to take advice from colleagues. A talented engineer who insists his design can't fail until it does. A top student who never learns from mistakes because they've always been praised for being the smartest in the room. Intelligence gave them confidence, but without humility, it set them up for failure. These stories remind us that the intelligence trap is not rare, it's universal. It doesn't just target geniuses. It can target any one of us who begins to believe that being smart is the same as being right. So, how do we escape the intelligence trap? How can we make sure our intelligence works for us, not against us? The first step is humility. No matter how smart you are, accept that you can be wrong. Intellectual humility is the ability to admit limits. It doesn't make you weaker, it makes you wiser. Second, practice cognitive reflection. Before jumping to conclusion, pause and ask yourself, could I be wrong? What am I missing? This simple habit separates wisdom from arrogance. Third, embrace diverse perspective. Intelligent people often surround themselves with like-minded thinkers, but wisdom comes from listening to those who see the world differently. The more angles you consider, the fewer blind spots you'll have. Fourth, strengthen your emotional intelligence. Logic alone doesn't solve every problem. Learn to read emotions, your own and others. Self-awareness and empathy are shields against manipulation and poor decision. Fifth, adopt a growth mindset. Intelligence can make you overconfident, but a growth mindset keeps you open to learning. Instead of proving how smart you are, focus on improving how wise you can become. Another powerful defense is critical thinking. Don't use intelligence to defend your beliefs. Use it to test them. Treat every assumption as a hypothesis, not a fact carved in stone. Robson also highlights the importance of scientific thinking, experiment, test, and adapt. The world is complex, and intelligence is not about always being right. It's about correcting yourself when you're wrong. Finally, remember this: wisdom is balance. Balance between confidence and doubt, knowledge and humility, logic and emotion. Intelligence gives you the tools, but wisdom teaches you how to use them. The real lesson of the intelligence trap is that being smart isn't enough. True success comes when intelligence is guided by humility, reflection, and emotional balance. That's how you escape the trap. At the end of the day, intelligence is a gift, but it's not a guarantee. History shows us that the brightest minds can make the darkest mistakes when they confuse intelligence with wisdom. The real strength is not in always being right, but in knowing when you could be wrong. So ask yourself, are you using your intelligence to explore the truth or just to defend what you already believe? Do you listen as much as you argue? Do you question yourself as much as you question others? The intelligence trap isn't just for geniuses in history books. It's for all of us. Every time we refuse to learn, every time we ignore feedback, every time we let pride guide our choices, we walk straight into it. But the good news is you can step out of it. With humility, reflection, and emotional balance, your intelligence can truly become the tool it was meant to be, not a trap, but a bridge to wisdom. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you feel certain about something, stop and ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? That single question could save you from the trap that even the smartest people fall into. What do you think? Is ignorance more dangerous, or is overconfidence in intelligence the bigger threat? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more insights on psychology and the human mind, and share this with someone who thinks they're too smart to make mistakes. Because in the end, wisdom begins not with knowing more, but with knowing yourself.